Cześć. So, one of the most common style of questions that I see in the comments below my YouTube videos is, Connor, I am, say, Black, East Asian, North African, Middle Eastern, a Latino. Will the beauties of Eastern Europe be interested in me or not? What do I think? Is racism an issue, for example? Is bigotry an issue? So I've been here in Eastern Europe on and off. I'm actually in Warsaw, the capital of Poland, which is Central Europe, but in the eastern part of Central Europe. And I have been coming here also with clients for, say, 4 or 5 years, more or less. And I would calculate, because I had to look back through, the ethnic composition of my client base. It says about 25% are ethnic. Now, they're all guys who are either born or have lived for a long time in Western Europe, North or South America. But about 25% would count as that. So I'm in a pretty good position to judge the reaction here in Eastern Europe. So in this video, we're gonna discuss a little bit. Will the super beautiful, the 9s and 10s of Eastern Europe, will they date an ethnic guy? Push me.
SAR Experience.
So let me start with racism in Eastern Europe, or even Central Europe or the Balkans. Now in the mainstream media in the West, they tend to describe it as really like a racist dystopia. I remember when Poland and Ukraine co-hosted the European Football Championships as well. It's well over 10 years ago. Some of the English players on the national team said they were scared for their families who were not white or black to come here to places like Poland or Ukraine because it would be unsafe for them. The football championships took place and their families were fine. No one attacked them, no one insulted them as far as I know. So everything went smoothly, but they had that stereotype built up from what they read in the media about this part of the world. Now personally, and it's only just my personal experience, when I've been with either friends or clients who are ethnic, we'll say, so Black or Asian or maybe from North Africa, the Middle East, where else, Latin America, I have almost never encountered any sort of bigotry. I would say just once. It was actually a group of Russians from Russia who were overtly racist, calling not the guys who were with me. The guys who were with me were actually white Americans, but they were talking about, they were insulting Barack Obama with a lot of racial epithets. Other than that, I've never seen a person. Now, I know there's probably going to be some people who are African or Asian or somewhere else like the Middle East. They're going to talk a lot about discrimination that maybe they face personally. That's terrible. Those kind of unsavory people exist, unfortunately, everywhere. I've actually been refused entry in Paris and in Cologne myself. I've been told in no uncertain terms of the fact that I was an Anglais was the reason I was not getting in, right? They didn't like the fact that I was English speaking, and they basically told me that I wasn't getting in, and they were pretty aggressive in communicating that message, shall we say. So it happens, unfortunately, in a lot of places. I think what's great nowadays is that with cell phones, you can, swipe that out and film these guys, and then they get in trouble. So probably isn't as overt as it used to be in the past. But basically, I just haven't seen it. So what I would say about how women react in terms of if they want to get into a romantic relationship with a guy who is ethnic, it depends. First of all, the biggest factor, where does he live? Where is he coming from? Because if he's coming from a country that's not very sexy in their eyes, like, I don't know, Gabon, I'm just taking these countries randomly, or Myanmar, right, Burma, in Asia, or maybe Paraguay in Latin America, then and he's from there and he's living there, might not be much of a great value in their eyes to that. So I would say that is actually probably the biggest factor. If you happen to live in New York and you're Black or you're Asian or whatever, a Latino, I wouldn't say there's much difference. Most it's going to be a -1, maybe. Depends on the woman's preference. But if you're from, Paraguay or Gabon, or as I said, in Myanmar, then somewhere they don't want to go, like most women don't want to move to India, for example. A lot of Indians come to Eastern Europe as well, trying to meet the lovely ladies here. Yeah, that's going to be probably a big minus. I'd say like a -4. And the exceptions are, because I've seen it with some of the models that appeared on the Zara Experience in these videos, is that they may go out with a guy who is actually from the third world, really the third world, but he's going to be from a family that probably owns about 25% of the gross national product of that country, because I have seen that, and the guy looked pretty good, and his family, when I Googled, was the richest business family in that country. So there you go, and he was not actually spending most of his time there. He was flying between St. Moritz and, you know, the Côte d'Azur and other amazing places, I guess the Maldives, but she did go to his third world country in Asia. And I've also seen girls who are in my videos here on the Zara Experience on their Instagram with black celebrities, and they seem pretty happy about hanging out with them. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest factor is not the race, or the being ethnic, but there's a lot of other things like, you know, your social status and your wealth, probably going to be bigger factors. And when I say socioeconomics, I mean like where you're coming from. So if you're like all of my clients have basically been from Western Europe, North America, and Latin America, and maybe 25, as I said, 25% of them were ethnic. But you know, they're saying, hey, I'm coming from Amsterdam, I'm coming from New York, I'm coming from LA, and then I think it depends on the girl's preference, and it may actually be an advantage, because, for example, if you go to somewhere that's quite niched, like you go to the Latino dance club, a bar that plays Latino music, which one of my clients did, who's Latino, yeah, guess what? Probably most of the girls are there into Latino guys, because they're into that culture and the dancing. And he did meet his long-term girlfriend there in Kiev at a Latino club.
Sí,
¿Qué piensas? ¿De dónde eres?
yo soy de Chile, Sudamérica.
Muy bien. ¿Y qué piensas de tu experiencia como latino aquí en Kharkiv, en Ucrania?
Mi experiencia ha sido súper positiva. Pensé que al principio iba a ser complicado porque vengo de muy lejos, y ha sido al final un atributo porque como vengo de tan lejos soy un poco exótico, pero es importante marcar esa diferencia porque por los rasgos latinos es muy fácil de que te confundan de que viene de algún país del norte de África o que viene de algún país árabe o de Turquía. Entonces es importante marcar la diferencia porque acá vienen muchos turistas de esos países. Por eso es que yo creo que es importante hablar en español a veces, decirle a la chica, preguntarle si es que ella habla español, aunque no lo va a hacer, pero te desmarcas. Y el desmarcarte obviamente es un plus porque te ayuda a escalar más rápido y a generar curiosidad en ella para conocerte. Yo creo que eso es vital y es súper importante marcarlo. La experiencia me ha gustado mucho, pero siento que a pesar de que tú puedas hablar inglés, español o cualquier otro idioma, es importante manejar el idioma local, que es ruso o ucraniano. Por eso es que incito y motivo a la gente a que hagan un cursito, aprendan a leer alfabeto cirílico, para que no lleguen acá en pañales y lleguen con un poquito más de conocimiento básico, por último, del idioma, así pueden moverse un poquito mejor.
Other places, if you go to a hip-hop club, probably more likely than the average going to be into black guys because it's part of the culture. And also remembering that music, that particular ethnicity of guy is highly sexualized, right? So in hip-hop, rap, black guys are very sexualized. In Latino culture, I guess, maybe not to the same extent as being sexualized, but you got the sexy music and they're dancing, so Latinos. Maybe for Asians, it's going to be like K-pop. That would be a place where Asian men are sexualized. Wherever that's popular or being playing, it's probably going to be a good place for you to go out if you are from that particular ethnicity. I guess if there's a place with Arabic music, or I'm not really sure where that would be. I haven't seen it in Eastern Europe. That would be a good place for Arabic guys maybe to go to as well. So yeah, I think that's probably a good overview of what I think. It might make a small difference and it's probably quite niched, but if you are not actually living in a very poor country and not actually owning most of it, like I've seen, or not being a celebrity, then yes, that will be a big disadvantage. But if you're coming from the West or Latin America or somewhere, it's gonna make a very minor difference. And yeah, it can be the same coming from Italy, it can be the same coming from maybe Sweden. Maybe she has a good opinion of that country, maybe she has a poor opinion, and that will also make a difference.
Do you think that there are different nationalities that are more or less popular in Ukraine, like when they come as foreigners?
Like, you mean like tourists?
Yeah, I mean, just, or maybe students who study here or people who move
I
to
think
Ukraine.
there's a lot of Indians who come in for like medical
Yeah.
universities, especially in Odessa and Nikolaev. Then I think a lot of Turkish people because it's very close.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see, like, one time I was flying from Dubai to Odessa, like straight flight. So I know these people definitely going to Odessa, and I was like, wow, so many like really Arabian people. Like, I'm just wondering what they
What they're doing in
what
Ukraine.
they're doing here. They come in with their families and so on. And I was like, wow, like even like half of the plane was like Arabian people, not Ukrainian, and it was straight flight. And also they definitely landed in
Odessa.
Yeah.
And how do you think Ukrainians react? Do they think, okay, Turkish people good, bad, Europeans good, bad, Americans good, bad, Latin Americans?
It depends on the human. I react fine. I react perfectly fine because I saw a lot of, like, you know, foreign people. So I'm all the time happy to see foreign people because I'm like,
because you traveled a bit.
Yeah. I love to see Asians, especially when you have like Chinese, because I know that they are very nice. You know, that they are very polite.
Нет, я не считаю, что если ты американец, либо ты немец, что ты чем-то лучше, чем от араба, либо от индуса. Ты одинаковый, я считаю. Я не знаю, кто так может считать, что какая-то национальность просто из-за того, что он родился в Германии, и у него родители немцы, так он лучше, чем там индус какой-то.
Я думаю, к туристам из Турции хуже относятся.
Да.
Ну, на самом деле, я думаю, это во многом связано с тем, что они себя ведут в Украине по-другому, не так, как у себя дома, и это действительно, к примеру, не сильно может нравиться.
Я думаю, что у нас нету расизма, потому что у нас вообще город такой, что очень много иностранцев, потому что у нас много вузов, сюда приезжают учиться, и все спокойно.
Я хорошо отношусь ко всем национальностям.
Да, тебе без разницы.
Да, мне вообще без разницы.
А ты думаешь, что есть расизм в Украине очень много?
Есть расизм в Украине, но с годами его становится намного меньше.
So regardless of your ethnicity, what are you doing next weekend? Because I'm here actually on a Friday evening in Warsaw, Poland, and we're going out and party hard. Going to actually record some nice B-roll at some parties and go to a friend's birthday party here tomorrow. And with the Russo-Ukrainian war still ongoing when I'm filming this video, I'm not currently bringing clients to Ukraine, Russia, or Belarus, but I've been here in places like Warsaw, Poland, Riga in Latvia, Almaty in Kazakhstan. We're actually going to fly to Wednesday. Going to go back there with clients for a few weeks, and also crazy Chisinau in Moldova. And you probably noticed that I've been emphasizing a lot the super beautiful women of Eastern Europe over the last 6-7 months on my channel. And that's because, quite frankly, when I look around at this whole manosphere space, especially when it relates to Eastern Europe, and I look at the results of my clients and the women that they date, the models, and the super beautiful, I just think it's like night and day. So might as well emphasize that for you, that really the kind of guy that I am bringing as a client is a guy that the local beautiful women are going to be interested in because he has his stuff together. He is able to get women already back home in the West, but he wants to come here and live the Zara experience. I meet a lot of beautiful, super beautiful women when he's here, and it's not just all about beauty. Obviously, if you're going to date someone long-term, like many of my clients have done, they got married, they're in long-term relationships with these women, then also good morals is going to become part of it. But you want to be choosing from the biggest pool of high-value options, and that's what I help my clients with here on the Zara Experience. We are going to come here to a city in Eastern Europe and have an unforgettable experience. And let's just juxtapose that to what a lot of tourists face when they come to Eastern Europe. Because I was talking today to a guy who's not a client, and he had actually done a DIY, do-it-yourself version. He came and traveled. I think he was here first in Poland and then he went to Riga. Anyways, we discussed a little bit Riga and Latvia, and the places he named were like complete tourist traps. I understand why he was not so crazy about the places. Like, man, no hotties go to the places that you went to on your entire weekend because they are tourist traps. And that's a big difference, I think, nowadays in Eastern Europe, is that being a tourist, no matter, whether from the West or from somewhere else, the women with a lot of options in this region, they're not really so keen on foreigners for the most part, who don't spend time in the region, or obviously they make exceptions if the guy is like super wealthy and super high status, like he's a celebrity, he's going to fly them off to, St. Moritz and the Côte d'Azur and whatnot. Those kind of exceptions can be made. But in general, thinking that you're going to come like it's circa 1993, wave your Western passport, and the girls are going to be flocking, looking for a way to get out of destitution here in the eastern part of Europe, you are 30 years too late to that party. Probably you're going to end up in a very touristic bar or club, drinking one of those meter-high beers with a few probably other tourists or expats who haven't really integrated in the local culture here, and then a lot of mediocre women around, because the girls who are looking, like the girls have a lot of options. They want to date the best guys that they can find, and as far as they're concerned, those guys are not going to be hanging out at those kind of tourist traps. They're going to be somewhere where it's mainly going to be local high status guys. Like here in Warsaw, there's a place we went to last Friday, and we were the only non-Polish guys at the place. I met two Belarusian girls who were there, so we weren't the only foreigners, but foreign guys, we were the only two. And I'm with a friend also who's a foreigner who speaks Polish, so we basically spoke Polish at the door. I think if we come up, and we also faced this in Riga with my client, like if you speak in English at the door at a lot of these places, they will tell you private party, and you are not getting in, right? Because they don't want tourists. They want, like, being a foreigner is not a problem. As long as you speak a little bit of the lingo and you look like you fit in, then they're going to think, he's not a tourist, he hangs out here, and then it's going to be cool, you're going to be good to go. And those are the places where you will find the most beautiful women in Eastern Europe at the moment, for the most part. Just as a broad generalization. Of course, there are a few exceptions. Like I think it's maybe a bit easier in Kazakhstan, where I'm going to fly to on Wednesday. I think there still is a bit more of a foreigner factor there. Maybe the tourist gringo will do a little bit better than he would here in Poland for sure in 2023. Anyways, I'm rambling on at the end of this video. If you want to come and live the Zara experience, especially as we're coming up to the summer, I'm going to get rid of this parka for good. Summer 2023, down below is an application form, because the Zara experience is by application only. We're going to go out. You're also going to get access to my social circle in the city that we go to. That is why I vet everybody before they come on the Zara experience. Down below is an application form to the Zara experience. Before you do that, check out two playlists. One is going to give you an overview of the cities. I'm updating these playlists all the time. Cities that we go and live the Zara experience in. And the second one is my series of, I guess they're like tutorials almost, how to date the 9s and 10s of Eastern Europe. 9s and 10s, what I mean is the super beautiful. Triggers all the male feminists to watch. Well, they don't probably watch my channel most of the time, but come across my channel. But me and you, we know what we're talking about. We're talking about the super beautiful women of Eastern Europe. And it could be you with me having an unforgettable weekend very soon in Eastern Europe, or here in Central Europe, in the very east of it. So anyways, on that note, bid you do swidzenia. See you very soon. Ciao, ciao.
SAR Experience.